Thank you for joining us on Salt and Pepper Unleashed. This ain't your grandma's nursing home. I'm pleased to be joined today by Angie Sodrel and Dan Gandolph, financial advisors with LPL Financial. They've each been working in the banking and investment industry for over 25 years and have assisted many clients with their banking, mortgage, and investment needs. Angie, Dan, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
All right, very good. Well, we're just going to jump right in because I think everyone's interested about the topic of money, right?
Sure.
All right. So, we look at Greenwood Village South and kind of the type of community that it is. It really is a type of investment. It's a monetary investment, but it's also a lifestyle investment. And as our future residents approach retirement, they often have a variety of really important questions that they need to ensure they're financially and mentally prepared for this new chapter of life. So what key factors should clients consider when planning for retirement?
Let me start.
Sure.
A couple things that we really harp on or talk about is time, desired income amount, your options. Do you have a 401k that matches? Do you do a Roth? And your comfort level. Are you comfortable with seeing your accounts go up and down, or does it turn your stomach? But yeah, time is important. The earlier you start, the better you are. But I'd say time, the amount that you need. You got to have a goal. You have to know what you want, and the options available to most everyone. Make sure you're there, and again, that volatility level. So,
I would say that those you hit them all.
kind of the big ones there. I mean, it really does seem like some pretty simple but strong pillars to kind of guide the conversation. When you talk about time, though, I think you're kind of alluding to the starting time, right? Something that's interesting is, and I talk to new team members in new hire orientation about this and just trying to get them to understand the makeup of our demographic. Being a not-for-profit life plan community, we have the ability to ensure lifetime care for our residents. So meaning, even if they outlive their resources, they're still taken care of. They're still a GVS family member, and they don't have to go anywhere. And so I ask them, I say, how many of you are planning today, through your actions, to live to be 95 years old? And they're like, well, no, of course not. And so I guess my question to you is, what is that kind of that magic age? Because you have a starting time and you have a desired income, and you figure out, but there's an ending time that you need for those calculations. So I would imagine when you're guiding your clients, it's not to live to be 105. So generally speaking, what does that kind of look like? Because our residents are I would say generally older than the general public and very active and engaged in lifestyle.
Sure.
When I run projections, I run it to age 90 to 95, depending on their life expectancy, their with their parents, what they're still living, things like that. So I run it 90 to 95, depending on their age. Now, if there's a certain reason why, we might do 85, but most of the time I run at 90 to 95.
Yeah, you like to plan for beyond life expectancy. You don't want to say, whoops, sorry, we only plan to age 81 and here we are at 84. What do we do?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, ideally, it never runs out,
no
matter how long they live, obviously.
Yeah.
There is a timeline, but I don't really set a date of death timeline.
Or like a horizon.
Right.
Absolutely.
You just plan forever, basically.
Yeah. So. That's awesome. And that's great to hear. And I'm sure that our residents and future residents will be happy to know that is kind of the plan. So this is something I think everybody is curious about at any stage in their life, but how can folks maximize their retirement savings, but specifically in the last few years before retirement?
Save. I mean, put away as much as you can. You got a short window of opportunity at that point, but also take advantage of things like if you're working at a company that has a matching 401k, that's free money. You got to get that. Are you doing a Roth IRA? If you're not maxing out your Roth IRA, do that. Roth IRA, for those who don't know, grows tax-free, federal and state. Take advantage of non-qualified accounts. If you've done your match with your 401k and you've done your max out on your Roth IRA, invest more in a non-qualified account. Put away as much as you can in that short period of time. And then depending on the volatility or their risk tolerance, then we find the places that still make them feel comfortable, but just putting it away.
Yeah.
Start building as quick as you can, especially if you're in catch-up mode. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Very good.
Don't just spend it.
Yeah,
Save it.
right. Plan like it's not your money. It's one of the things where it's like, hey, put it away. It's once you get used to it, we're pretty resilient. I mean, once people they get in that rhythm, then they adjust.
Absolutely.
They'll say, hey, you know what? I can do more. And especially if there's that goal. Yeah. So the people get pretty motivated when they see that retirement, that checkered stripe there. That
well,
they get there.
Especially maybe that timeline gets a little closer if you get a little more aggressive with your savings and a little more intentional about it.
Absolutely.
So I would see that being a motivating factor for some folks. So as people approach retirement, how can they effectively balance risk and return in their investment portfolios? I'm sure that's a conversation that you have constantly.
It's the $1 million question. I want to make a lot of money, but I don't want to lose anything. So you do have to balance that.
No pressure, guys. No pressure.
Yeah. So
as they get older, you get more conservative.
Less
unless, if you run their projections and they have millions left over, well, maybe you don't get as conservative or not as much as you would if they are going to run out of money or close to running out of money. But basically, the closer they get retirement, kind of start reevaluating that and slowly move them to a good target.
Yeah.
There's actually ready-made or self-managed funds designed for that, but some individuals, they like to maintain a middle or even aggressive approach because, as we said earlier, planning to 90 or 95, so I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but Americans are living longer now in retirement than when they worked. Yeah. And that's
why. Now I've not heard that. So, I'm gonna have to research that one. That's really cool.
Yeah, if you're, a lot of times people don't start their careers now till 25, and they want to retire at 60.
Yeah,
people are living. I have several clients that are in their 90s.
That makes complete sense.
Still playing golf and doing everything. So it's you got to plan for that.
That may be a whole presentation that we can do. Because you're right. I mean, coming into the workforce later, leaving earlier, and then just simply living longer. But then also living. It's not just about lifespan; it's about well span. They're truly living at that elevated age. So that is really cool. I'm sure you've had kind of both ends of the spectrum. Maybe some younger clients who, just no matter what, they're just extremely conservative. How do you manage those conversations to get them to understand that this is the time to be aggressive, if any, versus you got some folks probably that they've done well being aggressive, and they just want to keep the pedal down, and then having those conversations, peeling them back a little bit. How do you manage those conversations? I'm sure that it's a case-by-case situation, but generally speaking.
Yeah. Well, we try to take emotion out of it. Fear and greed are two things that will kill you both ways. I've seen it. You go through like, I'm like a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10, right? If you're picking your volatility or risk tolerance, and then we go through some options like, well, my friend, they did way better than that. It's like, well, they're probably investing in this level. Yeah. Well, I want to be there, and so, but I don't want the downside. Yeah, of it. And then when things are going really, really good, I have had it happen. It was like, I want to put everything into that. I was like, you don't want to do that. You gotta take the emotion out of it. I think is part of it, and just understand that regardless of your risk tolerance, regardless of your age, there's a good place for you, and it really is for you. Like we just help kind of navigate that and show you where a good option or good places for your money would be. But emotion's big, or we've just seen it. Markets drop a little bit and people panic. We've seen these before. This is our first rodeo, so
Well, I think that's a very interesting point. Again, that could be a whole nother conversation itself, but just the difference between the economy and the market.
Right.
Whereas I think people just kind of blur those together. And from my personal experiences, which is limited compared to your professional expertise, but the market is very emotionally reactive. And it's not necessarily representative of the actual economy. And so working with a professional like yourselves, knowing that there's actually a lot of opportunity when knowing that, okay, well, the market's responding emotionally. This is an opportunity that is now presented that we can capitalize on in the short term. And then we can move it back over to something a little more conservative, once the dust settles. But I don't think, just an ordinary individual without your background or guidance would be able to capitalize on those opportunities on their own, just because it is, when it's your money, it's
many people have tried.
Yeah,
Very
I'm sure.
few have succeeded by just doing it on their own because maybe they're a doctor and they've got these jobs and then they're trying to follow the market and then you're just watching CNN, whatever. But it's
too late if you're just watching the news, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're already short. You're already last one to the party. So here's a good one. What strategies can retirees use to manage market volatility without jeopardizing those long-term retirement goals? So just in line with that conversation, what kind of strategies can they kind of deploy to capitalize without creating too much risk?
We were just talking about this a little bit ago about meeting at least once a year, doing a review, looking at your portfolio, addressing gains, addressing losses, making sure that we stay on target and don't just, they'll set it and forget it approach, in my opinion, is long gone. You want to actively manage that and make sure it's still suiting their needs first, but also make sure they understand, like, okay, hey, maybe we've done really well here. Let's maybe rebalance, take some out of here and make sure that we don't get too wonky either way.
Lopsided one way or the other.
But
sometimes they want to just keep going. It's like, but it's going to come back. So we've got to take advantage of it, get it back over here where it needs to be. This is your safety belt, is what I always say, your seat belt. You got to have some safety, because some people say, I don't want bonds. They don't do well. Well, they do well sometimes. They don't do well sometimes.
yeah.
Just like
anything else.
Conversation could be for anything. Absolutely. So how about when folks are looking to retire, specifically, at a life plan community like Greenwood Village South, what specific factors should be taken into account? Because obviously you're familiar with us and kind of the model, the entry fee model. What should they take into account in those situations?
I always, at my old firm, we had a couple different people that came here, and then I have a couple clients that live here, but we always run their projections. Okay, if you take this big chunk out, is maybe they don't already own their house, or maybe they're going to do it before they sell their house, whatever. What does that do to your plan? So what does that do to your plan? Because you still have monthly maintenance fees and things like that. So, just run the projections, make sure they're not going to run out of money too soon, and things like that. That's one thing that we always did, and we always review the contract. Make sure everything looks good.
Hopefully they gave you the disclosure statement as well, because I always tell them, I'm like, you're entering into a relationship with us. You should look under the hood and kick everything around. And every year is 150 pages, and they look at it like, I'm like, well, share it with someone that you love or that cares about you. Because it is. It's like you should know everything about the organization that you're kind of creating a relationship to that extent. So
it's just like part of the financial plan. If that's a long-term goal, we put it in there. You have to plan for these things. I mean, sometimes people are lucky enough to just kind of, hey, we did well and now we want to go here. But it's something you put in your game plan and you strategize for it. Like, this is just going to be what we're going to do. And
absolutely. It's just like with anything in life. I want to buy this house, or I want this, whatever the purchase is, or the desired lifestyle is. You kind of put the goal in place and then build a plan around it. So you talked about, I've got a couple questions in terms of kind of meeting frequency, meeting cadence. do you see that maybe younger clients or newer clients, maybe they're not younger, but they just now started really actively investing into their future, do they meet less frequently? Or do you suggest less? I mean, obviously, a good rule of thumb is once a year, but do you see that change depending on where they are in kind of their timeline for retirement?
Yeah.
I mean, I try to get everyone to meet once a year, or if it's like a younger client who's maybe just started saving or doesn't have a lot of savings, we may just have a phone call or even an email. Hey, I reviewed your funds.
Okay.
You look good. Let me know if you want to increase this or that. You're not maxing out, whatever. Or I might pick up the phone and call them. I mean, I try to contact at least once every year. And then I try to do sit downs. I'm a relationship person. So if you're getting in front of someone once a year, it's better than just a phone call or email. So,
well, I would imagine that you see with different generations, the different.
Sure.
Our residents, they don't want the email. They want to sit down. They want that you show me and point to it and circle it. Whereas, someone in their 30s or 40s, they may be just fine with an email or a phone call
or Zoom
or a voicemail that you don't even get a return call from.
Right.
It's like, well, it must be going good.
Yeah.
COVID changed a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the percentages, but a remarkable amount of meetings through Zoom and even a phone call now. It's like, hey, can we just do a phone call? I'm like, if you like,
that's what you want,
but if it's an important one, like, listen, we probably need to sit down and, but it's, again, it's what they want to do. And, they don't have to get in a car and go anywhere, or they can just do it from the comfort of their own home.
Absolutely.
But it did change the industry quite a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Do you see frequency changing as people get closer to or post retirement?
Oh, yeah. When they see that horizon, that retirement on the horizon, it's like, all right, it's crunch time. Let's make sure. 'Cause they get a little nervous. Yeah, I think.
Well, it's a big change.
They just like, well, I don't want to lose everything right before I retire. So are we doing it? Or like you said, when we started the conversation, what do they do near the end? So I would say, in my experience, when someone starts saving or starts working with us, at the beginning, there's probably a lot more conversation. Yeah. And then it kind of goes on that cruise control. And we reach out and they're like, oh, yeah, sure, we can get together. And then at the end of the spectrum, like, all
they're
right,
initiating.
Again.
What do we need to do? What are we missing?
Yeah. I have one lady that's retiring, and I've met with her probably 6 times in the last 3 months.
Okay, and that's kind of what I was thinking.
And
like
it has to be at 6:30 or later. So it's like, but.
Here's another one for you. And it'd be really cool if you could quantify this. I'm sure it's impossible, but do you see calls, emails, requests for meetings initiated by clients in response to headlines and news? I mean, do you see that? And it's like you see something on the news or something's coming down the pipeline and you're like, all right, like better charge my phone to 100% because it's going to be a wild one.
Yeah,
I mean, I get called, not a lot of meetings. Most people, I mean, I might have a few here and there, but a few calls. But it's also, when you've been in the business as long as we have, I feel like they know. Yeah. You don't have as many as you might think because, hey, do I need to make any changes? Nope, we're staying on target. Yeah. And they're like, okay, like it's a quick call. Yeah. Like, you'll still have those half a dozen that you have to spend a little more time with, but
there's always a handful.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a handful.
We don't have that here at all.
Yeah.
We don't have that at all at Greenwood Village South.
I think we do a really good job of educating them and informing them. Like, things aren't always going to look rosy, but we're looking, So I think for the most part, like Angie said, people they don't panic too much, but there's inevitably a few that.
I get a lot of calls about free lunches. More about free lunch. Hey, I have this free lunch with this person like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, no, don't do it. Yeah. It's more like that.
Free is rarely free, right?
Right.
Oh, my goodness. So talking about some specific questions, and this, I'm sure you've got some calculations or algorithms for this, but how would one calculate how much money they need to retire? what kind of a general approach would they take other than setting up a meeting with one of you? I mean,
It's all about what they want to spend in
What their
retirement,
lifestyle-
what they
yeah.
want to spend in retirement. And then, our programs calculate to what that would be, with inflation and
Mm-hmm.
growth rate for later. So if they want to spend $10,000 a month, what's it going to take to get to that?
and I'm sure that you're having a significantly more substantial conversation than just that leading up to that point, because I think it would be really, well, are you going to own your home outright at that point? Or are you going to still have a mortgage? Or
Are you going to travel a lot? Or are you not? I mean,
Yeah.
a few vacations a year is different than going to Europe or Italy
Yeah.
for a couple
Yeah.
times a year. So
Absolutely.
There's a little saying, it's full go, slow go, no go. So in the beginning, it's a little curve. And it's almost, and I've seen it.
Tiered
It's almost-
spending is like what I use. Yeah.
That first couple of years in retirement, they're traveling, they're spending money,
Oh,
and they're
really?
kind of maybe
Okay.
going a little over, but then it slows down.
Okay.
And then it slows down a lot.
Lot.
Really?
So-
That's
But it all
interesting.
evens out. But
Okay, so in that full go phase, are you typically, you don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but you obviously have some.
Still have a budget and
Yeah.
you build in extra travel because
Yeah.
maybe they are going to be like that. So a lot of times, let's say they retire at 65. From 65 to 75, I'll have one monthly expense, and then 75
Okay.
to 85 one, and then 85 to
Man, you guys have
95
thought
one.
about everything, haven't you? This is pretty
borrow
honestly.
a lot of information too.
Yeah.
This is honestly, this is really interesting because it's a lot of things that until you have that conversation, you don't know all the pieces and intricacies that go into planning something that is as important as kind of the fourth quarter of the game, if you will.
Sure.
That's very impressive.
So many people, when they save for retirement, they have like a 401k, say, or a 403b or whatever it is. And then you talk to them, especially if you're meeting them the first time, and how'd you start your 401k? It's like, I don't know. Everybody just told me I need to do it.
Yeah.
But they don't really know why or what the impact of that's going to be long term. So, but again, back to the original question, how do they know how much they're going to need in retirement? The programs that we have kind of builds cost of living adjustment, everything into it.
Okay.
And it's based on today's numbers, but typically people do spend less in retirement over the course of retirement, but we don't want them to have to do that.
Yeah,
Sure.
We don't want
absolutely.
them to
Sure.
take a pay cut
Yeah.
to retire. That's not the goal. So we want them to continue as is.
So speaking of that bad word COVID, what other changes did you see from your professional point of view pre-COVID? We won't talk about during COVID, but then to post-COVID. What other so obviously meetings and just kind of the structure cadence of those. Obviously, I'm sure that your software programs go through consistent updates, but I would imagine there were some pretty substantial updates to some of the calculations within your software post-COVID. But what other changes would you say have kind of taken place?
That was a tremendous learning experience. COVID was, because most people don't know that ended up being a pretty good year.
It was.
But
that
for
year.
those that
Yeah.
panicked and said, "I'm done," they lost.
It really got hammered
That
those 2 months, but yeah.
And that goes back to just, don't time the market, spend time in the market. Or what's the saying? It's time in the market, not timing the market. But that was a good learning experience because let's be honest, it was pretty scary there for a little bit. They shut everything down, and, it did have some impact, a little bit later with some supply chain disruptions and whatnot. But that changed. I think really that changed a lot of. Maybe that's why we don't get as many people panicking now, because they've
weathered the
That was
worst
That is
in their
true.
lifetime.
They've seen it. And
yeah.
this was gloom and doom, end of the world talk,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and here we are, 5 years later, and
Doing
we're
just
still
fine.
here. And
yeah.
so I think that helped a lot just from each individual.
Yeah.
They've almost all been through it.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. It's almost like some of our residents, living post Great Depression and just living, as a child, just scraping anything and everything together and being as conservative as they are. It's like when you live through that, little ticks in the market don't bother you nearly as much.
Sure.
It's similar to COVID, and it's like in such a condensed period of time, you saw a crash and an explosion, and then some roller coastering over the next couple years, really. Crystal ball. What's it looking like for the next couple years?
I'm pretty bullish.
Up and to the right.
Positive.
Up and to the right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So.
I think so.
It'll end on a good year.
You said something there. You got a lot of good little soundbite quotes here that I've been writing down. But you said it's time in the market, not timing the market.
Right. Yeah.
And I would just say for anyone out there right now listening, get in now, get started.
Yeah.
I mean, is that that's? And I wish I had someone telling me that when I was 18 years old. And I mean, I was a young adult before I started, looking to my future. It's like start now, and whatever it is.
Right.
The other thing too, and you've mentioned this a couple times. One of my biggest frustrations as the leader of this organization is we do have a 401k match. It is free money.
Free money.
We want you to take this free money, and,
Right.
and people still don't. And it is no matter what we do in terms of trying to market to our own employees, it's kind of astounding how many people do not take full advantage and not just participating to the full extent that the match is there.
Right.
And then anything above that, great. But that's one that, from my perspective is frustrating. I'm sure from your perspective, it's like, man,
It's
shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Right. And it is funny you bring that up. I mean, I feel like every 401k we look at, you'd be lucky if you have half the people
I
taking
agree.
advantage
Oh,
of it.
yeah. No, I would.
Yeah.
And that's like,
Yeah.
just do a little bit, $25 a pay.
Absolutely.
And you're going to get a free $25. And it's not a lot, but over 25, 30 years of
exactly.
working, that can add up.
And especially, assuming you don't necessarily need to utilize that immediately post-retirement.
Sure.
And it's still, it's the time in,
That's
not
right.
timing of. So, all right, here's another one for you. Investment vehicle. What's your go-to? I know diversification is key, but if you had to put all those eggs into one.
You might answer a little differently.
Yeah.
I go with
That's-
mutual funds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mutual funds and
managed accounts mostly.
manage,
Okay.
just manage,
Yeah.
But there are other options out
Yeah.
there, especially for like specific reasons and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we do a good job. We're independent, so we can
Yeah.
pretty much go anywhere.
Yeah.
And we'll find what fits for them. But yeah, funds, ETFs, stocks. I mean, you whatever they really want.
Yeah.
You inform them kind of some of the options. What's the differences? A lot of people don't even know exactly what a mutual fund is. We help explain that, and then you go further with an ETF or individual stocks. But there's a lot of options. I think a good start would be like the S&P 500 if someone wanted I just want to start something and I don't know anything about it. I just want to start. Okay, middle of the road, biggest 500 companies in various industries in the U.S. So, but those are, I wish we had that one, golden vehicle.
The silver bullet, if you will.
Just, but mostly I'd say our bread and butter is actively managed.
Yeah,
funds.
absolutely. It can be different for everybody. All right, now I'm going to make you choose.
Okay.
401k, Roth IRA. You only get one.
You can do both now.
But I know, but I'm saying. If,
No, in a 401k you can do a Roth.
Oh, okay, really?
Some. Not
not
everybody
all of them.
depends
Depends
on
on- okay.
plans, but yeah, more and more.
But dang it, you got to pick one because I want to know pre-tax,
well, you don't want to
post-tax.
give up your match, but
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
after Roth would be, you
So
don't want to give up
post-tax
your
is
match,
going to be better,
but
but
Roth.
if you're
Yeah.
not sacrificing a match.
Is it a matched 401k?
Yeah, if it's not a match, then obviously
You
Roth,
got to get your
but
free money.
Yeah, you
Our
gotta take
my
the
is
free
like
money.
if you have a match, do everything you can to get that free money.
And then
Then
if you're going to invest more
stop and then do Roth.
Okay.
And then if you max out your Roth, then we can talk about non-qualified going back to the 401k. But those are the two. If you do those two things, if you get your free money on your match, all of it, and max out your Roth IRA, if you're younger, you should be doing very, very well for yourself.
Okay.
So
very good. Well, and hopefully many of our listeners and prospective residents have, this is maybe old news to them as they've, engaged with the market and they've got a lot of time in versus timing of. But just a lot of great insights. I would say this may be the first of a handful of conversations. As I think we could spin this off a couple different directions,
Sure.
And I'm sure our residents would have plenty of questions for you. But we'll save that for another time. I'm going to leave you with one last question, which is our signature question.
Okay.
I want each of you to answer this from your own personal perspective. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be and why?
You're gonna make me go first.
I think it was the lady. That was the lady's first look right there.
I think for me, I just want people to remember I'm all about relationships, and I'm really good with my clients and customer service, and just going above and beyond. And I think that's what I want. And I always look out their best interests, and I think that's what I would want people to remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah, relationships for sure, but also education. I think one of the things I like the most after a meeting is hearing someone say, well, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I had that option. Yeah. Or no one ever told me that before. Yeah. And I hear that a lot, and that's important because, like I said earlier, people do a 401k, they don't really know why or what it's for. They was told to do it. My dad told me to do it.
Yeah.
So I like to tell them and make sure they're informed on what they're doing, why they're doing this. And
the why. That is so key right there.
Because they might nod and say, "Oh yeah, I understand, and I understand." I'll circle back. I want to make sure you really do understand at least enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
So I think personal relationships I value. That's at the top, but right there with it is just making sure they understand, what and why, the whats and whys, and where we're going with this.
Yeah. So I love that from the professional perspective. Let me take it a step further from a personal perspective. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be and why?
Nice guy.
Nice guy. Yeah. No. And honestly, that is a not the exact words, but it's a very common answer. I think generally people want to just be remembered for being a good human being,
right?
Putting more into the world than they took out of it. So I love that answer. Follow that, Angie. He took the first swing on that one.
I would say for me, I have to say faith and family. But if I had to pick one, my family. They would know that I was a family person.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's important to kind of take a step back. It's easy to get lost in the minutia of life. Sure. Professional specifically, but family, faith, remembering why we're really here and who we're here for. Sure. So I love that one too. So
thank you.
You both passed that test, even though there's no right or wrong answer. So again, Angie, Dan, I appreciate both of you so much coming and joining us and sharing just a little glimpse of your expertise. And I look forward to having some more conversations in the future and engaging more. So thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.